This is some absolutely insane news, and something I feel like definitely needs to be yelled about. This is a time for celebration. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here, and a couple weeks ago there was this gigantic leak that revealed the fact that PlayStation is about to shut down the stores for the PS Vita, the PSP, and the PlayStation 3. And understandably, people have been very upset about this, mostly because there are actually thousands of games that exist only digitally on these platforms. The idea of practically an entire generation of gaming just instantaneously being poofed out of existence like a gigantic Thanos snap made people understandably upset. Well, just now, PlayStation has officially revealed that they're going back on this. They flipped. They're going to keep the servers up. Now, I want to talk about this. I want to read their official statement, and I want to talk about why this is very, very important. This is a big deal, even if you don't happen to play these systems anymore. But let's start things off by looking at the statement itself. So this is by Jim Ryan, the president of PlayStation. Players will be able to continue to purchase games on the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation Vita. Now, it still sounds like the PSP is probably going to shut down, which it says right here. Real quickly, it's actually Jim Ryan himself. Lately, everybody's been really hating on Jim Ryan, claiming he's the worst PlayStation president, claiming that he doesn't understand the power and potential of PlayStation. But this is a clearly good move. I just want to say that even if you hate Jim Ryan, even if you've been signing that goofy fire Jim Ryan petition and stuff, we need to tip our hat and say that right here, he is doing the correct move. Recently, we notified other players that PlayStation Store for PS3 and PlayStation Vita devices was planned to end this summer. Upon further reflection, it's clear that we made the wrong decision here. Like, oh my gosh, even this sentence right here, full props. I love when a company can admit that they made a mistake. It's clear that we made the wrong decision here. So today I'm happy to say that we will be keeping the PlayStation Store operational for PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita devices. PSP will commence functionality, will retire July 2nd. Now this kind of makes sense. PSP is just extremely outdated. I love my PSP. In fact, look, let me grab mine. The PlayStation Portable, this is an absolute bad boy of a system. I love mine. Obviously, I have the Darth Vader PSP, but this thing is kind of ancient. This thing kind of existed during the same era as the PlayStation 2. I understand that eventually this bad boy had to be sunset, but these other systems are definitely more recent. Let's go back to the statement here. When we initially came to the decision to end purchasing support for PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita, it was born out of a number of factors, including commerce support challenges for older devices and the ability for us to focus more of our resources on newer devices where a majority of our gamers were playing on. Basically what they're saying is that it does cost money to keep these servers up. It's difficult to actually maintain these stores themselves, to sell stuff, to keep patches, to keep updates. Like, this is a physical cost. It's not something that's just free. This is costing them some money, but it seems like they're saying here that it's still worth it, that even if it's not turning a gigantic profit, it's better to leave it on than instantly shut it off. We now see that many of you are incredibly passionate about being able to purchase classic games on the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation Vita for the foreseeable future, so I'm going to be able to find the solution to continue operations. I'm glad we can keep this piece of our history alive for gamers to enjoy, while we continue to create cutting-edge new games for the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, and next generation of VR. Thank you for sharing your feedback with us. We're always listening and appreciate the support from our PlayStation community. This is a fire statement. Honestly, look, I hate PR. I feel like a lot of times these public little stupid appeal things, I feel like they're just so cheesy. This feels very heartfelt. The fact that they're saying, okay, look, this was the bad move. Now we're doing the right move. You guys want to be able to buy these games? We're definitely going to allow it. Now let's talk about why this is a huge win. This isn't just about PlayStation 3. This is actually about talking about the implications of it. There are some games that only exist on the PlayStation 3. They exist nowhere else. Things like Metal Gear Solid 4, you can only play this on a PlayStation 3. And here's why that's a big deal, because everybody knows that Metal Gear Solid is a gigantic series, and this is a very, very important piece of that history. If you were to shut off the servers, if you were to deactivate the updates, or even the ability to purchase these games digitally, this gigantic piece of history basically goes up in smoke. But additionally, I'm a huge fan of this because I think that PlayStation specifically has this problem at times, which is the conveyor belt of content. They're constantly rolling out the next big game, the next big sequel, the next big piece of DLC, and you can tell that they're just waiting to shut the lights off behind them. And the problem is that we're going to hit this point where games are going to cease to exist. You'll have a Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 5, and you won't be able to get to Final Fantasy Remake Part 1. Now that example itself is probably not going to happen, but my worry is that as we continually just bump things up generation by generation, that the older stuff is going to just fall into obscurity. I love PlayStation 1 games. As you can see, I have a gigantic PlayStation 1 collection here, but one of my fears is the fact that while I do have a lot of these discs, while I do like having the concept art and stuff, to me, I think it's important to have this stuff digitally on servers somewhere. I think that if somebody wants to play Xenogears, you shouldn't have to try and track down a $50 copy of the game. If somebody wants to play the original Grandia back on the old school hardware with a PlayStation controller, I'm glad that they're still making this as easy as possible. I'm a gigantic RPG fanatic. In fact, my Vita is filled with every single Final Fantasy, every single turn-based classic I could possibly fit into a memory card, and that's why I love it. This thing is still just so good. It's still so loved. It's still so appreciated. So the fact that Sony themselves realizes this is lucrative enough, this is worth their time, I feel like, if anything, this is preserving an important piece of our past, and hopefully it stays profitable for them. Like right now, they're going out on a limb. They're basically saying that they're keeping these servers up, but whenever this starts costing them a huge amount of money, I do think that at some point things are going to liquidate. At some point they are definitely still going to shut off the lights when it becomes necessary. So here is my final cry to PlayStation themselves. Update the stores. Bring more stuff to current gen tech. Allow us to play these digital PlayStation 1 games, the digital PlayStation 2 stuff, but bring it forward as much as possible to the PlayStation 5, to the PlayStation 4. Like, if the problem of these old school stores on the PS3 and the PS Vita is just that they're difficult to maintain, bring those games forward. Put Crisis Core on the PlayStation 5. Bring the old school Final Fantasies we love and sell them on the current devices. They're still going to sell, we're still going to love them, and if anything, it's just going to make them even more easily accessible, because that's the whole point of this, is great games from any generation all combined into one place. In my opinion, the biggest thing that Xbox has going for it right now, especially with the Series X, is the fact that with Games Pass, people are actually going back and playing games from the oldest generations. People are still playing Morrowind in complete HD and it looks fantastic, or playing old school Doom and new Doom just back to back, Doom 3 and Doom Eternal just within the same breath. Everything is just so accessible and so universally easy to play on the Xbox that I feel like PlayStation, I wish you guys would adapt to that. I wish that you would have a way to do this. Not for free. I'm not asking you to just hand games out on the street corner, but please make it so your stores are as universal as possible. PlayStation is a brand. PlayStation is a brand that a lot of us love. Old school games like Ratchet & Clank, Uncharted, even Last of Us, we want to make sure these things live as long as possible, and that really these games manage to stick around and be easily adopted for as long as we can. But these have just been some off-the-cuff thoughts because honestly, I am so hyped about it. What do you think about this? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Oh my gosh, I kind of want to do a live stream of just shopping through the old stores. Maybe I'll do that at some point. If this video gets a couple thousand likes, I don't know. Maybe I could do something though. I have a way of actually streaming my PlayStation 3 and my PlayStation Vita pretty easily, so maybe it'd be fun to just kind of scroll through the old stores. Maybe I'll make a video about that. But anyways, like the video, thanks so much for watching, and leave me a comment. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.